The wig, the wearing of the wigs, what style that you wear, oftentimes denotes what type of individual you are. So you could tell by walking down the Duke of Gloucester Street, you could encounter a member of the clergy, or you might talk to Dr. Galt, and he would be wearing a certain style. So you find, so far as the number one style being worn here in Virginia, matter of fact, in most of the colonies, was called the bob wig. That style started with the poor classes wanting to bob the ends of their hair up, and as their wealth increased, so did the number of rows and the curls on their hair. When you get to the gentry, they might have 8 to 10 rows of hair in their wigs. So that style was very popular. They had dress bobs, plain bobs worn by some of the lower classes. We have to realize that only about 5% of the populace could actually afford wigs. We're talking your artisans, your tradesmen, Elkanah Dean the coachman, James Craig the silversmith, Dr. Galt, Dr. Pasteur. We're talking fine merchants like Mr. Greenhow. They were wearing the bob wigs. Then you find your landed gentry, the Burrells, the Carters, the Randolphs. Patrick Henry was wearing wigs, Patrick Henry Esquire, and his wigs consisted of wearing it 2 curls on the side and having it braided down the back, and that was a military style. We find that Mr. Jefferson was wearing wigs. He also wore the Q wig as Mr. Henry, but he also wore the bob wig, the dress bob. In the 18th century, a lot of people think that nobody was washing, nobody was bathing, people were not washing their clothing a lot of times. That's not necessarily accurate. We find that from accounts from wig makers. We have an account from Edward Charlton. His clientele was a who's who of Williamsburg: Patrick Henry, Thomas Jefferson, Peyton Randolph. These gentlemen would be bringing their wigs in to have them dressed, have them laundered. The frequency in which they would have them laundered and taken care of would depend upon the number of wigs they owned, what their social standing was, what the occasions were. General Washington, everyone thinks about him because they see him on their dollar bills, and they all say, oh, he's wearing that white wig on his head. And when we see him in portraits, we see him with white hair. What most people don't realize is that actually that's his own hair. So when you see portraits of Washington, when you see the dollar, look at your dollar bill, you see that white hair, that is his own hair, and it's been powdered with flour and grease.